What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili heated back and forth. Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili recently got into a heated back and forth while filming a promotional stare-down for their fight at UFC 306. Dvalishvili and O'Malley's coach, Tim Welsh, have been going back and forth for months now, with Dvalishvili saying back in May that he wanted to fight O'Malley and Welsh. That then sparked a back and forth between the two on social media that escalated the feud between the two sides. This week, while doing promotional work for their fight, Dvalishvili explained to O'Malley that he wasn't happy with previous comments Tim Welsh made, sparking a heated back and forth between the two bantamweights.
I was so pissed when I see the whatever.
If you have a problem with him, you can take it up with him. He'll fight you. If that's what you want, he'll do it. He's not.
Why we don't fight?
You said you wanted to fight him. He didn't say he wanted to fight you. I dare you to do it. I think you should. After the fight, you should try to smack his face. You should definitely try that.
Yes.
That'd be funny. You should try that.
Like, it's about, bro, it's not about who's stronger and who's great or whatever. I'm talking about street fights. You know?
Yeah, you can street fight him. I'd love to see that. Yeah, he'll die. You want to die? Is that what you're saying? He'll kill you. There's a reason there's weight classes. They're not. You're the one that wants to fight him.
Given that the machine said he wants to slap Welsh, it's pretty safe bet that the UFC will make sure to have plenty of security on hand during fight week. Next up, let's take a look at Dricus Plessis game plan heading into Israel Adesanya fight. Heading into UFC 305, many fans expect Dricus Plessis to use his wrestling to his advantage against Israel Adesanya. However, according to Plessis' coach, Visser, the champ wants to beat the last stylebender at his own game. While speaking in an interview with EFC Worldwide, Visser said, quote, "We'll fight Adesanya wherever he wants to take it. Do I think that Dricus is going to shoot and take him down? No way. We want to beat him on the feet." The MMA community was quick to react to his comments, with many of the mindset that Plessis would be wise to use his full skill set rather than trying to beat Adesanya in a striking match. As one member of the MMA community wrote, "If this fight stays on the feet for 5 rounds, Izzy is going to abuse Dricus." Another fan agreed, writing, "There's no way Dricus wins a stand-up." One member of the MMA community weighed in on the situation, using the Muhammad Edwards fight as an example of why they aren't counting DDP out of a striking match with Izzy, writing, "At this point, after seeing Bilal beat Leon, anything is possible." With fight night rapidly approaching, it'll be interesting to see whether Plessis actually keeps things on the feet. Next, let's take a look at Kamaru Usman sends a message to Leon Edwards. Following Leon Edwards' loss to Bilal Muhammad on Saturday, Kamaru Usman believes that the former champ could find success at 185 given his style and the lack of dominant wrestlers competing at middleweight. In addition, Edwards had also previously talked about moving up to middleweight in pursuit of champ status, giving Usman confidence that the former champ could test the waters at 185. During a recent episode of he and Henry Cejudo's Pound for Pound show, Usman spoke about the situation.
I'm anxious to see how Leon Edwards is going to regroup and going to get back, if he does get back. I know he was talking about moving up before this. I mean, he's a guy that I would like to see move up to middleweight. What do you think? I would like to see him move up to middleweight because if he can put the size on, because his style is, I would like to see him move up to middleweight because there's not a lot of middleweights that are grappling like a guy like myself and Bilal and some of these guys could grapple. So I wouldn't mind seeing him at middleweight.
Cejudo agreed with Usman, pointing out that the power at middleweight is no joke, given the 15-pound difference between the two weight classes. From the sounds of things, Edwards' team isn't thinking about a move up. Following the loss, Edwards' coach Dave Lavelle spoke with Submission Radio this week to talk about what's next for the former champion, throwing out a potential fight between Edwards and Ian Gary.
I'd like to see Leon fight Ian Gary. Obviously, we can keep it British-based, either Ireland or over here. As you know, the little background story we had going back last year he's looking for a scalp.
Next up, let's take a look at Muhammad Mokaev breaks silence on UFC contract situation. After UFC 304, Dana White shockingly revealed that the UFC wouldn't be renewing Muhammad Mokaev's contract. As White stated during the post-fight press conference, the PFL would get a great undefeated fighter for their roster. While many initially believed that Mokaev's fight week scuffle with Manel Kape was the main reason for his release, reports then emerged that alleged the UFC found out Mokaev and his team were looking to use an offer from the PFL as leverage in negotiations with the UFC. After Mokaev's manager refuted the report, the undefeated contender then weighed in with a post, writing, "My dream is to become UFC champion. I turned them all down because UFC gave me the platform to put my name out there and earn money to feed my family. By the way, way, PFL don't even have a flyweight division. All these journalists that make this ish up are... I hope Dana re-signs me. This is my dream to become champion. Mokaev then opened up on his fight week altercation with Kopp in a follow-up, writing, "This is first time I punched outside the cage. It was more personal. He was the one who headbutted 5 days before Perez fight when I went to shake his hand in Vegas. I understand this is wrong what happened at the hotel, and I apologize to the UFC, but there's some nights I didn't sleep because someone treated me like that. I never been cheap shot on the streets. I will never let anyone bully me, and I never bullied anyone, but whatever happened, it happened. I don't want to keep going about it, but I will take big lesson from it." Since White's comments post-fight, fans have taken to social media urging the promotion to reconsider letting Mokaev walk. Okay, now up next, UFC fight updates. As we anxiously await this weekend's UFC Fight Night card in Abu Dhabi, let's take a look at today's UFC fight updates, starting with 2 new fights added to the UFC Fight Night Pineda vs. Hernandez card on October 19th, which is expected to take place at the Apex in Las Vegas. The card will see Mateus Nicolau and Asu Almabayev compete in a flyweight bout, where Nicolau will look to snap a 2-fight skid, and Almabayev will look to build on a 3-fight win streak inside the octagon. In addition, the card will also play host to a bantamweight bout between Sumadarji and Charles Johnson, which will see Sumadarji look to snap a 2-fight skid, while on the flip side, Johnson looks to build on a 3-fight win streak that saw him finish Joshua Van at the UFC Fight Night Denver card on July 13th. Last but certainly not least in the way of UFC fight updates, Luana Pinheiro and Jillian Robertson are set to throw down in a strawweight bout on November 9th. The bout will see Pinheiro look to snap a 2-fight skid that most recently saw her submitted by Angela Hill in May, while on the flip side, Robertson will look to build on a 2-fight win streak that recently saw her defeat Michelle Waterson Gomez at UFC 303. Next up, let's take a look at Umar Nurmagomedov reveals plan after Cory Sandhagen fight. Leading up to this weekend's clash between Cory Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov, the expectation is that the winner of this fight will wind up competing against the winner of the upcoming title fight between Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili sometime next year. According to Nurmagomedov, who spoke in an interview with MMA Junkie this week, he's been told by the UFC that with a victory over Cory Sandhagen, he's next in line for a crack at the title. While discussing his fight with Sandhagen, he compared the #1 contender fight to how Sean O'Malley got a fight with a top-ranked opponent in Peter Yan before getting his crack at the title.
When they give me good opportunity, everyone beginning cry. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you win, you could definitely deserve it. Sean was number, I think, 11 when he beat Peter Yan, and then he got the title shot after too.
Same situation. I hope I will fight next, inshallah. I will fight. I think they said I will fight. Who will win? He will fight.
Okay, UFC told you that.
Yes.
Umar also revealed that Khabib Nurmagomedov will be in his corner for the fight on Saturday, after the Eagle cornered Islam Makhachev against Dustin Poirier back in June. While he previously said that he wouldn't be cornering again, it sounds like Khabib Nurmagomedov may have had a change of heart. Up next, let's take a look at MMA community roasts Leon Edwards. Prior to UFC 304, fans wondered how the time difference would impact the performance of fighters competing on the card. While the event kicked off at its usual time in the US, the event took place overnight for UK fans, with Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad stepping into the octagon around the same time the sun was rising. According to Ariel Helwani, who's on hand for Olympic coverage in Paris, Leon Edwards' team hired an F1 sleep specialist before the fight to help Rocky adjust to the schedule change. During a recent virtual episode of the MMA Hour, he spoke about the situation.
His team told me before the fight that, they hired an F1 sleep specialist, because the F1 drivers are driving all over the world, different time zones, and so they felt ready to go. This was obviously a big talking point. He was fighting at around 5:30 in the morning. I think this is absurd. And if I'm Leon Edwards, I'm pissed off that a title defense is happening at 5:30 in the morning. If I'm any fan in Manchester, I'm pissed off.
The MMA community was quick to react, with Belal Muhammad weighing in, writing, "Dang, all I did was buy a $10 sound machine off Amazon." Another wrote, "So no other fighter had an F1 sleep specialist and every other UK fighter won. This tells me the sleep/time is not a worthy excuse." Another member of the MMA community added, "Then he can't use the sleep excuse as to why he lost. He got outworked. He was so scared of the takedown from Belal, he wouldn't put himself in danger by letting his hands or feet go. Fought a terrible fight. Not a Belal fan at all, or a Leon fan to be honest, but I have to give credit where it's due." Another pushed back on claims that the start time impacted Edwards' performance, writing, "But Tom Aspinall also fought around the same time, and he absolutely looked phenomenal. Ratwani manufacturing lame excuses because he couldn't cope with Bilal being the champion." One fan wrote, "Yet he said he still just felt tired. What a sad excuse." Another referenced Edwards' second win over Kamaru Usman, writing, "Leon fought Usman at the same time in their second fight. There were no disadvantages. Okay, Leon just got dominated. Simple, as he got out wrestled just like how Usman did in the second fight." While Dana White vowed to never increase the post-fight bonus amount again while speaking to media members after the event, it doesn't sound like the promotion plans to do away with overnight cards in the UK. The judge in the UFC lawsuit has denied the $335 million settlement that was agreed upon and has set the trial date for October 28th. According to Eric McGracken, who's a lawyer that's been covering the antitrust lawsuit, the judge has put the trial date back on for the UFC settlement, and the UFC desperately needs to have the judge settle the case for the agreed upon amount. If this doesn't happen, there's a chance the UFC could lose billions of dollars on this settlement. UFC antitrust trial back on. Date October 28. Things are getting interesting. To settle, the judge wants to see big money in Lee and major contractual changes in Johnson. UFC wants certainty of settlement, but can they stomach offering a deal good enough to satisfy the judge? To settle both cases, it means a deal that will not let UFC keep on with business as usual. Much easier fighter free agency will probably need to be part of the equation for Johnson to settle. So do they just say screw it and roll the dice? If the UFC roll the dice, they might get their ass kicked for billions. But even if they win, and they might, they then have a second trial coming their way that threatens their business practices. Big decisions have to be made. This is the biggest story in combat sports. Judge says he will release his reasons for rejecting the settlements later. That will give parties better insight of what will be needed for a deal that court will approve. But bottom line is more money and more freedom for fighters. Top comments. That head kick saved Leon's career for real. McGregor's only had 4 fights in 8 years. Only win was an aged Cerrone. Got smashed twice and broke his leg in the last fight. I'll be surprised if we'll ever see Conor fight in the octagon again. Colby seems a bit desperate for attention. No fighter is going to fight him outside the octagon after he called the cops on Masvidal. My back would hurt too if I got slammed on my head. The good old Tyson's, my spine was broken going into the fight.